Hey, what's up guys, my name is Zebroon and this is episode 3 of our lessons. And on this episode, we are going to learn about how to identify chipset and its COM ports, and also how to read MTK files and flash it. And also I will be showing you how to navigate around Unlock 2 if you have one. Okay, so let's dive in. To identify a COM port on your computer, kindly open my computer, right click. If you're using Windows 7, go to More and click on Manage. Okay, so under Manage, you go to Drivers Manager. Okay, so Drivers Manager, then you can click on COM port. If you plug in any phone, this is where it is going to show whether MTK or Qualcomm. And down here, if you're using a Samsung, it is going to show down there or up here. Okay, so that is for COM port, how to identify it. The first chip I would like to talk about is Zebroon. If you connect a Zebroon phone to your computer and you open a COM port at Drivers Manager, this is what you are going to see. This is how Zebroon chips will show up in your COM port. Okay, so anytime you notice it, you know that this is a Zebroon chip. The next chip I'll talk about is MTK. This is how MTK chips shows up, but MTK, they have something called broom mode. Okay, so Unlock 2 usually use broom mode to work, so I'm going to show you how broom mode also shows up. This is how broom mode will also show the COM port to you. Okay, so in case you see anything like the first one I show you and this, just so you know that is the same MTK chip that you are seeing in your COM port, just that is either on normal MTK mode or broom mode. The next chip I would like to talk about is also Qualcomm Snapdragon. This is how Qualcomm Snapdragon also shows up. Anytime you connect your cable to your phone and the phone is a Qualcomm chip, or you do a test point and that particular phone is a Qualcomm Snapdragon chip, this is how it is going to show in your COM port. Okay, so if you see this, you know that it's a Qualcomm chip. Next chip I would like to talk about is high silicon, and this is high silicon chip normally found in Huawei phones, and this is how high silicon also shows up. You will normally see the Huawei name or unknown sometimes if the drivers are not installed. So before I show you how to install drivers, so just so you know, before you see this, you need to install the proper drivers to show this COM port. The next chip I would like to talk about is a Samsung chip. Normally, if you plug in a Samsung phone, it will show you this type of chip. If the Samsung phone is in the normal mode, not MTK mode, this is the type of a port that will show in your USB, so that you know that the phone that plugs into your computer is a Samsung, and you can go ahead and do whether you want to flash or you want to unlock. Okay, so let's dive into how you can read MTK file. Okay, so this is a firmware I downloaded for a particular phone, and I'm going to show you how you can read it. This is a file which is important to the whole files you are seeing here. There is something called scatter. It is called scatter file. Okay, so I'm going to open the flash tool. This is a universal flash tool for all MTK chips. So if you download the firmware, you look into the MTK flash tool, then you click where it says load scatter. Okay, so you look for the firmware that you downloaded on your computer. Okay, let's say I have so many bunch of firmwares I have downloaded, so obviously I'm going to select one of them and show you the scatter file I'm talking about. Okay, so this is the file. If you open the file, that is the only file you will see, scatter file. So it will load all the files into your flash tool, and then you can go ahead and flash it. But just so you know, to avoid any problems as a beginner, do not choose any option, choose download only. Then you click download, and then you plug the USB cable into your phone so that the software can read the firmware into your phone. Okay, so guys, let's dive into unlock 2 and I'll show you something interesting also in unlock 2. Okay, so if you have unlock 2, this is how you log into your account. It's going to show up. Okay, so let's say you want to work around any phone that is, let's say, MI or something like that. So you click on MI. It takes a while to load, so if you click on security, it is going to show up all the models of MI that this software supports. So you can then search for the particular model you are coming to work on. Okay, so if you click on it, you will see that any chips that you see that it is empty and there is a number behind it, it is MTK chips. Any chip that you see and it is showing up here, Qualcomm Snapdragon, just so you know, it means that that particular phone you are coming to work on is using a Qualcomm Snapdragon chip. Okay, so I'm going to click on Techno and I will show you so many things about Techno phones too, because it is common in our communities. Okay, so if you click on Techno, you normally see all the chips are empty. It means all the chips you see here are MTK chips. And if you recall, I made mention of something called Broom. So you see all the list there, there's something called Broom, because if you want to read those kind of chips in unlock 2, you need to hold volume up and down, then you plug the USB to trigger Broom port instead of normal MTK port. Okay, so before you, just keep it in mind that before you do anything, you need to hold volume down and up to plug the USB cable. This is also a Spectrum tab inside unlock 2, and it has so many models which you can also select if you are holding those type of phones. Let's say ITEL, then when you click on it, it has so many options to choose from if you are holding those type of phones in your hand. Okay guys, so we are going to dive into a different model so that you can see that ones too. Okay, so now I'm going to click on Apple and show you so many things here too. I know most of you are interested in this. Okay, so if you click on the first tab, which is functions mode, before you can do anything here in the functions mode, you need to have access to the phone. If the phone is accessible, everything is working in your hand, then function mode will work. Okay, so passcode mode is also when the phone is in disable mode or passcode is on it. That one, on this passcode mode, you need to jailbreak the phone. You need to use software called Chakran. It is called Chakran to jailbreak before you can use that passcode mode. So here is another mode, which is hello mode, and here you can use it to also bypass iPhones, but most of them, if you use that tab, the network will not work. To make network work on bypass, you need to use run disk mode, and all these sections tab here you see here, the drop down, you need to also download from it's a run disk file, so you need to download them from the unlock 2 backup files to install this. Okay, so guys, this is the navigation for iPhone. I will dive in more, but I'm going to show you something called test point. If you notice, so many of my videos I mention test point, and somebody will ask what is test point. So if you open test point and click on any models you see here, it is going to show you a picture of a phone, but that picture, you see this mark here, it is called a test point, which you join together and it will bring a COM port into your computer. So many phones are stubborn, and it is secure in a way that if you plug in your USB cable, it is not going to show any COM port unless you open the phone and bridge those test points together before the COM port of your phone will be triggered. So as you can see here, I'm navigating so many phones so that you can see what I'm talking about. So most of the phones are not accessible whenever you just plug in USB cable. Most of them you need to do a test point in order to read the CPU, whether it's Qualcomm, whether it's Spectrum, or whether it's MTK, before you can do a bypass or unlocking or whatever you are planning to do on that particular phone. Okay, so as you can see, Samsung 2, if I click on any model, you will see so many of them. Okay guys, so I hope you learned a lot from this episode.